Leeds United have just beaten Blackburn Rovers 2-0, and I'm afraid to say that my computer audio has beaten me twice as well. This is the third time I'm recording this introduction, so I hope that this comes out okay, because otherwise I might just scream before I have to record a fourth time. Yeah, I've had to cut the intro out of the video I've done before, so I'll just quickly redo it. In this video, I'm going to talk about the team news, so specifically I'll do that right now. Bamford is ill, Mateo Joseph is in his place. That's quite good, it shows that he's been trusted, and I think from about now, you're going to be seeing me talk about what happened in the match and what it means going forwards. Hope it works out. See you shortly. Let's hope that pause didn't break the audio, but I'm going to speak a little bit just to test it. Test. I'm going to keep this in anyway. Fuck it. The match started incredibly transitionally, with Joel Pirro looking very, very dangerous with runs in behind. None of the through balls seemed to find him, but it's good that we've got it in our heads that we are able to change up these tactics a little bit and attack in different, unique ways. In addition to that, when it came to winning the ball back, the Dan James press continued to be effective. The same applies for Crescencio Somerville, but you'll see it a little bit more often with Dan James because he's more minded that way. He's had a little bit more time under the likes of Bielsa, so he thinks, I'm going to press a hell of a lot. That sort of press led to a Jorginho Ruter chance. This time it was Somerville pressing, but won the ball towards the edge of their 6-yard box, and Ruter managed to miss a dink from 6 yards out. Those are going to happen. I'd rather he scores them, but not this time. I'm not going to blame him, though, because he was a fundamental part in both of the goals that we scored, including the goal for 1-0. It was a fantastic finish from Dan James, who tucked it very, very gently into the bottom corner. It came from a Jorginho Ruter dribble and somehow keeping the ball despite being tackled halfway through it. He's a magician, and his little through ball to Dan James towards the end was wonderful. One started the match very nicely. I've noted here that it's very obvious that it's two teams that really love a transition, because the more we're able to counter, the more we can use the pace of Somerville and Dan James. We don't mind when teams sit back in, but that's not where we really flourish. Moments later, there was what I thought was a foul on Illan Meslier. He jumped up, caught the ball, and then the player went through him. I'm only going to call it a foul in my head because although it's not the worst of challenges, the fact that they got a corner from that feels a little bit weird. They got a corner from basically shoulder barging our goalkeeper. Not the biggest fan of that, but it's fine. Follow on from that, outside of Illan Meslier being worked physically like that, there was a lot of work for Pascal Stroke and Joe Rodon. They were a fundamental part of keeping it a clean sheet because they were just everywhere on the pitch. They were able to deal with their highly rotational form of attack where Schmodix would go to the right, go to the left, stay up the middle. The wingers would drift in and out. They played a really complex brand of football, and Rodon and Stroke shut that down excellently, in addition to the fullbacks. I think Sam Byram did really well, but outside of that, Archie Gray, it's hard to forget that he's just 17 years old, did everything he could to shut them down, and he shut them down perfectly. Very, very tidy football from Gray meant that they weren't able to cause the issues that they thought they would. He was good both defensively and going forward. I'll get into that a little bit more in the second goal. But then it was half time. Immediately after half time, I thought things would be okay. However, stroke and ball shout. In my opinion, and this is coming from a Leeds fan, that was probably a penalty. It's definitely given in the Premier League. And the timing of it, where he's gone to slide to block across, completely fine. He's gone to stabilize himself, completely fine. But the timing of it, where he's put his arm down to stabilize himself at the exact same time that the ball's coming past, if I'm a neutral observer, it's really hard to see that as not an accident. So I would probably lean towards penalty, but I'm very glad he didn't. The second half start was significantly more difficult. They changed something. I'm not too sure what. I'm going to give the match a watch back at some point soon so I can work out exactly why we were struggling so much. I think we were pressed a little bit more in midfield. We weren't very good in the transition anymore. And we sat in a little bit more. Fine enough. This is where I've made a note about the refereeing. The refereeing was mostly consistent, but there was a very high bar for fouls. There was one stage where Dan James was very clearly fouled, tried to stay on his feet and keep going, and it wasn't given. There was one case where Somerville dribbled through for 3 people, pulled down by the shoulder, wasn't given. They had a penalty shout a little bit later on, wasn't given, and it was a similar sort of, there's some contacts, but you'd hate if it was given. I quite like the refereeing throughout, to be completely honest with you. And he also didn't really stop the time wasting that we had from time to time, where Joe Rodon and Sam Byram would go down for some periods and just sort of take a little bit of the sting out of the game. That, I think, was very important. It slowed down Blackburn and definitely helped us. First run of subs. Nonto came on for Dan James. Fine, that makes sense. That's a straight swap, probably for Dan James's fitness. Then Spence came on for Sam Byram. We hadn't seen Spence play much at all before today, never at left back, and Byram being injured is scary, but we'll have to find out a little bit more very soon. Moments after this, Nonto has a very good shot that's excellently saved. The keeper has started moving to deal with the initial shot from about here-ish. It's deflected, and he's had to completely shift his weight to pluck it out of the air. Brilliant save. Moments later, there's another Piru chance that is blocked, and at this point, I thought we weren't going to get a second goal. I thought we were going to be stuck in the cycle of it's 1-0, we're in serious trouble, but then 2-0, goal! Somerville manages to dink the keeper, and it was absolutely wonderful, and it came from some absolutely fantastic play from, I'm going to try and find the right banner, there it is, Archie Gray, who's come from the right sort of wing-back position, drifted inside, played a nice 1-2 off Rutter, who's noticed his momentum's kept going, through ball to Somerville, who's managed to outplay the offside trap. And it's a very nice finish, and it's 2-0, and we're a little bit more comfortable. Take a moment to breathe. I say we can breathe. In reality, that's not the case in the slightest, because Meslier had to make an absolutely spectacular save moments later. From a corner from the other team, managed to get a head on it, it's deflected off Rodon, so it's looping just under the bar, and Meslier has plucked it out spectacularly. He's the sort of goalkeeper where he won't have to deal with that many shots this season, but we know he's going to be switched on. Why is the hair gone funny? When they do have a shot. Sorry, I am quite ill right now, so videos are a struggle, especially when you have to record them twice. Then Jaden Anthony on for Somerville. Complete sense, a little bit of rotation. Gruev and Mateo Joseph came on, and I thought this was quite good. They showed a little bit of trust in Mateo Joseph with Piru and Rutter coming off. Again, makes complete sense. We're 2-0 up, we probably won't need them. And Mateo Joseph really fought to make an impact. He was doing that Rutteri thing from time to time where he'd stick a foot in between the ball and the defender, and then he manages to win a free kick somehow. Very good work from him. And ultimately, it was strong game management up until the end. Nice, routine 2-0 win. For me, man of the match, it's quite hard to decide, to be honest. I think we were really good throughout. You will have to find out the fans' reaction or man of the match in the post-match poll thing that I like to do over on the subreddit. I'll put it in the description below as well. If you can put in the comments that you've come from the YouTube, that'd be massively appreciated, just so I can keep track. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. I've had to go a little bit faster than normal. Sorry about that. I'd love to go in detail, but I am exhausted and I've filmed this twice already. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. Like if you did. Comment down below what your thoughts were about the match. Subscribe and even become a channel member. That would be massively appreciated if you could. And yeah, I will see you later.